Perhaps we consider that that is the function and purpose of Stonehenge. How does the scientific community come to a determination as to the purpose of Stonehenge? Is it a calendar? Is it a magnificent cup holder for a non-indigenous species? Well, the scientific community holds to this scientific precept of Occam's razor. Occam's razor, in its original Latin form here, pluralitas non exponenda sine necessitate. First of all, Occam's razor is named after William of Occam. This is back in the time period where your surname, last name, was telling people where you were from. So think about where you currently live or where you consider yourself from, and think of that as your surname. So think of your first name. I will use example here at the high school. You would be such and such of Millville. Perhaps you like your new surname. Perhaps you have a better appreciation for your current surname. But something magnificent about William of Occam is he has Occam's razor named after him, even though it was used in the scientific community well before William of Occam was even around. So that is very prestigious, to get credit for something that had already been established or invented. So take a moment to think about, what do you wish you got credit for having invented that was actually already around before you? Latin is not quite as widespread globally as it once was, so let's do some linguistic evolution. Let's move from various language frames. We'll go from Latin to the archaic English translation, which is plurality should not be posited without necessity. It is English, but probably needs a little bit more clarity. So let's move to the modern English translation, which now reads as, do not invent unnecessary entities to explain something. Really what we're after is, what does this mean for Occam's razor? Well, in the simplest, pun intended, form, all things being equal, the simplest explanation tends to be the right one. Next, I'll give you a couple of scenarios that will help see the way in which Occam's razor is used. The examples, you don't need to jot down the stories, scenarios in great detail, just a few keywords that'll help trigger your thoughts on how Occam's razor is used. Alright, we'll start with the story here and give you a little bit more visual than just me prattling on and on. You can read through that while I tell the story here. So let's say there's a property owner who in the evening is sitting on their front porch. They're looking out, surveying their land. Lots of good, healthy trees. They go to bed for the evening. Next morning, they are out surveying the land once again, and they notice on one of their trees there's this charred mark. And there's lots of reasons why that charred mark could be there. Perhaps there was some mad artist who was running through the property and making black charred marks onto the trees. Not saying that artists have to be mad, just, a little bit different to go around and paint charred marks on trees in people's properties. Maybe there was someone who was needing to let out some aggression and took to charring up the tree. Maybe there was a lightning strike on that tree. Possibly there was a UFO that went flying through the area and the afterburner of the jet propulsion system charred up that tree. Lots and lots of reasons that could explain this. If we are going to select one as a scientific community, we have to follow Occam's razor, that given all the data, the simplest explanation tends to be the correct one. So we probably would look up to see if there was in the community someone who was unleashing aggression on trees. Maybe there is an art exhibit going on, that you have some performance art that was the person painting on the charred marks. Perhaps there was a thunderstorm with accompanying lightning. And there is the way in which we go and gather our data to try and determine which one of these is the simplest. And looking at the weather reports for the evening, you found that, yes, there was conditions right for a thunder and a lightning storm. So Occam's razor would determine that you have to go with the simplest explanation that there was probably a lightning strike that caused that charred mark on the tree. Remember, part of Occam's razors don't make up unnecessary entities. There's not any agreed upon societal establishment that there are other forms of extraterrestrial life, so we would have to make up this entity that there was this UFO, there was this spacecraft. Likewise, the person getting out their aggression or the artist, those two are made up entities. You don't have direct proof for that, whereas you did have some evidence for a weather system that could cause the charred mark. So that is the scenario with the charred mark. Quicker scenario for you is you have a kitty and you put down a saucer of milk or saucer of water, whichever your kitty prefers, and you put down that saucer where they are conditioned to eat their meals and get their liquid refreshment from. And you get up the next morning and you look and see that the milk or the water, the liquid, is gone from the saucer. Let's just give you two situations. One, the kitty consumed the liquid, or two, there's a liquid fairy that came and took the liquid. Occam's razor, you definitely have to go with the simplest explanation. There is evidence that the cat has consumed liquid and food in that area before, and we don't have any physical evidence of a liquid fairy. Quick examples of applying Occam's razor. What is another name for Occam's razor? Well, the principle of simplicity. Principle of simplicity, another name for Occam's razor. Here's another situation where Occam's razor could be applied. So heliocentrism is recognizing the sun is at the center of our solar system versus geocentrism, where the earth is at the center. Now, in order to get the apparent motions that we see of the planets across the night and daytime skies over the course of the year, in order to say that the earth is at the center of our solar system to explain why we see the various patterns, geocentrism would look like this. Whereas heliocentrism, it's a much simpler explanation and display. So if you were trying to determine Earth-centered, Sun-centered solar system, definitely heliocentrism, where Occam's razor is applied. Occam's razor, a parsimonious shave every time. So the razor connotation here that it splits. It's this or that. Occam's razor, shave club. Occam's razor, face cream and aftershave. Get the whole kit caboodle there. And probably your favorite, Occam's razor,